So in just a few seconds, I'm actually going to put a slide link for this presentation into the chat box just so that those of you who want it can have it immediately, just because there is a few links embedded into the presentation that I think might be helpful for some of you. I am going to be switching between a few windows, so if something in the presentation isn't displaying as I'm talking about it, just stop me for a second. It might just take a second to pop up. But let's get into it. So my name is Ashlea Bungay. I'm a Milan soon-to-be. I'll be getting married in October. So keep your eye out for the name change. You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Miss Bungay. If you have questions or need help with any of the content that I'm going to cover today, please feel free to reach out and email me. You can do that over the summer, into the fall, or 5 years from now if Peardeck is still a powerful tool, which I hope it is. So yeah, just email me at any point if you ever need troubleshooting or just some support or want to collaborate. I will make note that I am not affiliated or sponsored in any way by Peardeck. I'm just I found a really great tool during remote teaching, and I wanted to kind of share it with others who I think it might benefit. So no, I don't work for Peardeck, but I am pretty passionate about it. Right now, I work at Fairview Junior High in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I teach grades 7, 8, and 9 English and social studies. I actually just completed my technology integration master's last year at Mount St. Vincent University. If you're looking for an upgrade, I highly recommend that program. It was fantastic. Today's presentation is basically going to be about two things. It's going to talk about what Peardeck is and why it might benefit you and your students, and then it's also going to show you the technical side of sort of accessing it and getting it set up on your own. So, very simply, Peardeck is a powerful tool that makes PowerPoint presentations interactive for students while collecting formative feedback for teachers. I am always on the lookout for tech that is going to engage my students while also, number one goal, make my life easier as a teacher. We all know we're busy enough. So I like to kind of have one-stop shopping tech tools, and this is kind of one of those moments when I found a tool that does a lot of the things you wanted to do all in one shot. So I'm going to show you exactly how awesome it is. I will talk about setting it up first, with the very first thing being to sign up. You can sign up at peardeck.com. There are 3 different forms of pricing. The first one is basic, which is completely free. Personally, I used to use basic all the time before the premium free trials and all of that good stuff. I found basic really does give you what you need to get started. If you wanted to upgrade, you can, with the premium package being a bit of a steep price at $150. But as I've said, really basic is going to give you exactly what you need to get started. So don't feel like that's something you have to buy into. When you do get started, you will need to get something called a Peardeck add-on. And you'll need to go to the Chrome Web Store to install the add-on. So I'm just going to show you really quickly. If you don't know how to find the Chrome Web Store, you can just go into Google Chrome Web Store. It should pop up. And then you would search for Peardeck. Right now, it's telling me to visit the website because I already have this downloaded into my extensions. But for you, it would say get add-on. And you would download that. So that is sort of the first 2 steps. You need to sign up with Peardeck, and then you need to go and add the add-on to Peardeck. And once you've completed those 2 first basic steps, which I'm actually going to give you a little bit time to do later in the presentation if you want to, once you've done those 2 things, you're basically ready to go. All right. I'm going to show you. Ooh. Is that keeping up with me? Okay. All right. So I'm going to show you how to access it once you've done those 2 steps. So now that you've sort of signed up for Peardeck and you've also gotten the add-on for Peardeck and your extensions, now it's time to figure out where that add-on went. So when you start, I'm going to do this from a Google perspective because I am out of a Google-based school. You can do this with Microsoft, though. If you have Microsoft PowerPoint presentations that you want to do, you can use the Peardeck with Microsoft as well. But I'm going to show you from a Google side what it looks like. So you would open a brand new Google slide. And we'll wait for that to load. And once it loads up, you will be looking in your top toolbar where you have all of your options for a tab called add-ons. And it should be rated between tools and help. So once you've found add-ons and you've gotten the extension downloaded, you can click it, go into Peardeck for Google Slides, and hit open. And what should happen is on the right-hand side of the screen, a menu is going to pop open, very similar to one you get when you're picking your backgrounds and things for PowerPoint. But it's going to open up the Peardeck app, and that is where you're going to be able to access all of your tools to create your interactive presentations. I'm going to go through and show these tools to you in just a second. Excuse me. So one of the beauties of Peardeck is that you can build from scratch, but what I really liked about it is I already had PowerPoint presentations that I was using. So you are actually able to modify existing PowerPoint presentations that you already have. So if you have some really great presentations that you've already built and you just want to kind of take them to the next step and enhance them, you don't have to start completely over. You can just go in with Peardeck, open that add-on, and add the interactive pieces as you want to. So that is one thing that I did really love, is I didn't have to start from scratch. So I'm going to talk really quickly about some of my favorite features. There's so many features to Peardeck. An hour-long presentation would never have been enough, but I'm going to give you 6 highlight ones that I really love, and then I'm going to actually show you in a presentation how to make them work. So the 6 that I love is short answer questions, where you can assign questions to your students right into the presentation. So you could ask a question like, how do you feel about your character's actions in the book today? And they can literally type right onto the slide how they're feeling. And it goes right into it and it collects their answers for you as a teacher. You'll be able to go back and see them later. What I was doing a lot during remote teaching is I would put a link to a video, or I would put a link to an article into the slide, and then I would have a sort of comprehension question or reflection question on the side of it, so that they had all the material in one nice neat package. They have their resource and they have their question. My students' feedback on it was they really loved using this program, and it made it simpler and easier for them to understand when and how to answer the questions that I was asking of them. Multiple choice is you could ask questions quickly and easily. I use this a lot for social studies because I teach social studies. So what we'll do is we'll cover a concept, and then my next 3 or 4 slides will be just like really quick review question, just to see if the kids are picking up on the key points that I'm hoping for. And that's the great part. There's instant feedback from the teacher platform.
Alicia, there's a question from Beth Graham. She says there are 2 add-ons, one that just Peardeck and one that says Peardeck Powerup.
Yeah, there is a Peardeck Powerup. You want the first one, not the Powerup. You can add the Powerup if you wanted to go further and deeper into some other aspects of Peardeck. But the initial one is just the Peardeck. You need that sort of basic piece first. So next up, for another really great feature is it's a draggable or draw feature, and that allows you to kind of have some choice in your answers, especially when it's a question that not everyone's going to agree on, nor should they. If you're having like an opinion question, maybe you're talking about politics, or maybe you're talking about like personal life choices and health, whatever it may be, you can actually create quadrants on a slide and then have your student drag or draw in the box that they most align with if you wanted to do that. There's a slide library available in the toolbox, which is a great resource with pre-made slides, so you don't have to go through all the work of making your own. Like I said, anything that makes my life easier, I'm on board with. You can use what's provided, you can modify what's provided, or you could just get inspiration from them if you wanted to. I'm going to talk really quick here about student pace mode. I will go into this more in depth in just a minute, but this is the most powerful tool for me. Especially where we had COVID-19 in the spring and we kind of lost the end of our year there and we went to online teaching. Student pace mode became the most powerful tool because it allowed students to access it from a distance. They could leave it for a while, they could complete it at their own pace, and when they were done, all their answers were stored from you as your teacher. So for anybody who is in junior high and high school is getting assignments at 3 o'clock in the morning, that's fine. Kids can still access it at 3 o'clock in the morning if they really want to. It kind of works more fluidly with at-home learning because, as we know, not all students will be able to access their tech at the same time, and this allows students to access it when they feel ready or when they can, basically. And then finally, there's a teacher dashboard, which I will be showing you. That's where we as teachers can view the responses that have come in. We can get feedback. We can identify students who may be struggling. It's a really powerful thing to kind of have everything in one place to really see who's on board with what you're doing and maybe who needs a little extra support. Okay. So we're going to go back to the example slide that I kind of created here. And I'm going to show you a few things. So as I've said before, when you get into your presentation, you'll go to add-ons and open up this lovely little menu here. So I'm going to show you some of the features that I went through. So I had short answer, which is text question. What you would do if you wanted to add a text question to the presentation is you would click on the ABC there. It will pop up, and then it will prompt you to say, okay, we're adding this interactive question now into your slide. When it does that, you're going to see this wonderful little pair and sort of footer show up. Please don't delete that. I've had people in the past who've used it and be like, none of my interactive questions are working anymore. And we go in and we realize they've deleted that footer. The footer is essentially what's linking your slide to the interactive question. If you delete it, it can delete the link that you're basically sending to the presentation. So leave that there. I know it may not be the most beautiful thing in the world, but it does have a purpose. And so now what will happen is when you present this to your students, it will actually have the question available for them to answer. This is assuming your students are also on some sort of tech that they can key into to access the presentation. And like I said, later in the presentation, I'm going to give you a chance to see what it looks like from the student side. I swear it will all come together and make sense. I know there's a lot of information coming at you. From there, you have all of your other types of questions. And like I said, I didn't go over all of these. There's just too many. You have your multiple choice questions. You can do number sense questions. They do have a number of math slides already pre-made, and I will show those to you. But you can put in like a number question. You can embed a website. So if you have a video or an article that you want students to read, you can put that straight into the slide. And then, of course, our draw and drag features, what you're going to see in a little bit. The template library, I love. If you go into it, it has all kinds of different sections. I'm just going to go into one because they all look fairly similar. So if I go into lesson builders and I hit beginning of lessons, you'll see that all of these slides are pre-made for me. So you can literally just click the slide. It will do its work. Sorry, my cats are running around. It will do the work, and then it will pop the slide up, and you can modify that question if you want. You can kind of play around with it. but it automatically creates a slide for you, which is kind of nice and simple, especially if you really like the questions they have. And there are some pretty good ones there. If we go back and I slide down, you'll see another section here, critical thinking and social emotional learning. This is getting the kids to think a little deeper about what it is they're talking about. Social emotional learning is talking about how they're feeling as learners. Like, are you getting this? Do you feel confident with it? So they're quite powerful slides to kind of like sprinkle in every now and again, just to kind of check in on the kids and see how things are going. And then of course there's subject areas. So they have everything from littles, which is like kindergarten all the way up to grade 2, and then all your different other subjects, science, social studies. Lots of different resources in there. I would love to get into it with you, but it's a very deep rabbit hole. Finally, you'll notice that it says upgrade to premium. I have a trial. If you do decide to sign up for Peardeck, they often will give you a free trial, normally for 2 weeks. With COVID-19, they've been having sparks of inspiration or charity. I'm not quite sure. But they've been recently adding like 3-month trials. So if you wanted to hold out signing up and see if there's another 3-month trial coming up, there may be, I don't know. But with COVID continuing, it wouldn't shock me if they were to come back out and say, yeah, we're going to extend our trial again. As it stands, I've had premium for 5 months just running off of their extensions of trials because of COVID. So
Couple new questions in the chat box here, Alicia, that I'm going to share out. Can you edit the pre-made slides, for example, to translate to French from Donna Carr?
I have not tried that, but it was my understanding that there's a lot of other different languages that they can do somewhere. I know there's something along those lines to give other different languages, and I'm not sure, but I go into the template library. I'm just sort of wondering.
World languages, nice.
Yeah, like there are some different sort of, like resources in there. Like I said, like I honestly, an hour would not have been enough time to go through every feature of this program. There's so many. But I'm sure if you played around with it, I bet there would be something in there to help along with the translation in French. You could even actually, with the website, embed right into it a translator for students if you wanted to do something like that as well. So there's kind of options there.
So Kelly Hill also asks, will students have to have the Peardeck add-on as well?
Pardon?
Will students have to have the Peardeck add-on as well?
No, they won't. I'm actually going to show you how it is rolled out to the students, which is actually a lot easier from the teacher side of things. I actually have a little bit of a let's try it piece in my presentation where you're actually going to have, I'm going to give you a link to one of my Peardeck lessons, and you'll get to see exactly what it looks like from the student side, and then we'll come back and look at the dashboard and see exactly what it looks like from the teacher perspective as well. So we're going to get to see kind of both sides of the coin today, hopefully. But yeah, the students do not need the add-on. The only time you need the add-on is if you're building the presentation yourself. So if you wanted to show this to students to build presentations, maybe in high school or something, I don't know. It could be cool. But no, the kids don't necessarily need the add-on. All right, so that's just a few of the tools. You're going to see exactly what they look like I said, on the little bit of an example that I'm going to give you in a few minutes. I'm just going to go over a couple more things before we do that. So the most often, the biggest question I got from my colleagues when I was helping them with this, and we just wait for that to load up, was, okay, I built my slides, but now I don't know what to do. So I would say make sure that the Peardeck add-on is open, because oftentimes, I don't know if you're like me, I will make my presentation, I'll finish it, I'll close my computer for the day, and come back to it the next day to kind of roll it out. So often when you close out your computer or your program, the add-on will disappear, so you do need to activate it each time you go in. So make sure that it's open. you'll click on the little start lesson prompt that it has. You'll pick your pace. It has 2 different paces, which I'm going to talk about, student or teacher led. Once you've done that, it's going to give you a link. You can send the link out to the participants and students that you want. It will actually give you an option to send it straight to Google Classroom if that's what you want to do, if you use Google Classroom. Or you can copy the link. And then there's also, if anyone's ever used Kahoots or anything, or menti.com or any of those, it's very similar. You have a website platform and you just have a little code that the kid punches in and it opens up the presentation for them. So there are multiple ways to deliver this out to the students. Personally, my favorite is a link. I normally just link something in Google Classroom. The kids click the link and it takes them right to it. After you've got that done, you'll want to log into your teacher dashboard so that you can see what students are saying as they say it. Okay, so before I show this to you, this is my last thing before we kind of get into the good stuff here. I just want to talk about what teacher-led is versus student-paced. Teacher-led, I find, is a really powerful tool for when you are in class with your students. It shows, you can show your students' responses in real time on a projector. So from your teacher dashboard, you can actually project what students are responding right up onto the projector screen. That can help with collaboration. It can help students see what's going on. The beauty of it is that the presentation screen will remain anonymous to the student. So no student names will be attached when you're presenting it. However, just might want to give a disclaimer to some of your students. On the other end of things, on your dashboard, you can see exactly who said what. So you may want to warn students not to act too silly because they can think it's anonymous and maybe say some less than school appropriate things, not realizing that, yeah, you have absolutely every idea who exactly it was that said it, even though they may not be able to see who it was. I really love that feature just because it is instant feedback. I love to just kind of sprinkle in a few questions here and there, and it just kind of checks in with the kids and says like, hey, how is this going for you? Are you getting this? Like, what are you taking away from this? And it's immediate instant feedback to know if I need to course correct or if I'm on the right track with them. On the other side, you have student-paced, which is really great if you just want the students to access it independently and do it kind of on their own and not as a whole group proceeding through a presentation together. Like I said, this was a really great tool for remote learning, especially with COVID-19 and things being so uncertain right now. Remote learning is obviously definitely still on the table. So this could be a tool that can really help enhance your engagement with your lessons when if we do need to go back to something like that. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Janine McCauley asks, are responses saved in teacher-led?
Yes, they are. Yeah, they are saved. You can go back as many times as you want to recheck them or use them for assessment purposes or whatever you may want to do. It's going to be there. It will be there until you physically go into your dashboard and archive the session. And even then, once it's archived, you can still go back and get it if you needed to. So yeah, it will save it. Which is kind of the beauty of it. It does record all your answers for your review at your leisure as well. All right. So I'm just going to say the 3 reasons why I think that Peardeck is something that you should at least give a try. And then we'll launch into some sort of fun stuff. So my 3 big reasons, there's many reasons, but my 3 biggest reasons for the benefit of Peardeck was engagement, I can't say that word, remaining anonymous from the student side of things, and formative assessment. With engagement, especially during remote learning, I think across the board, we can all agree we lost some of our students kind of along the way because of, access or whatever it may be. And for some of them, it was an engagement thing. I found when I rolled lessons out through Peardeck, I had a much greater response rate than if I was rolling things out without it. So it kind of, by the end of it, became my main delivery tool because I could embed my how-to videos in there. I could put all the links that the kids were going to need, and it was one-stop shopping for the kids, which was easy for them. It was in order. It was sequenced. They followed along, and they felt comfortable with it. And instead of trying to find an article from this website, and then I've got to go here, and now I've got to go back into another program, and then I've got to go into my Google Classroom to give my answer and submit it. It was a lot for some of the students to kind of take on, and Peardeck just streamlined that whole process for some of them, especially my students on adaptations and IPPs. I think really appreciated it. One of my students actually came back and said, I really love this because you checked in with us and I was able to honestly tell you if I understood or didn't understand. And from that, immediately connect with that student to kind of fill in the gaps in where they might not quite understand things. So she really loved that aspect of it. With staying anonymous, like I said, student answers, you can display them in real time. It's anonymous to the kids, but you can see what they say, which replaces, maybe not fully, but replaces some Padlet and Menti websites because it's just seamlessly including those word walls and everything right into the presentation. You don't have to swap out, go to Menti, make a word wall, come back to your presentation. You can kind of do it all in one fell swoop, which is kind of nice. And then formative assessment. Like I said before, all the answers are recorded in your dashboard for a quick reference. One disclaimer I would say, though, is I would recommend giving different presentation links to each class. So going in and hitting start lesson independently for each class and giving them each a separate link. The reason for that is the very first time I rolled out a Peardeck presentation, I had 90 plus English students that I sent this presentation out to, and I got 90, well, not all 90, but I got a lot of answers all in one spot, and it was very overwhelming. So the next time I did it, I made it by class so that I had just smaller groups of kids and I could go in and assess it a little easier. You can for sure send them all the same link if that's what you want to do. But as a junior high teacher, when I teach more than one class of something, I found it a little overwhelming to have everybody in the same link. So that is obviously a personal choice as well. Okay, here comes the fun part. We are going to actually try this out. I have created a presentation for you that is going to showcase the tools to you. And then it also, in the other half of it, has some slides where if you wanted to sign up or get the add-on or do any of those things, you can do that. We're halfway through the presentation, so I'd like to give about 10 minutes or so for you to, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. You can go through, answer the questions that you want to answer. Don't feel obligated if you don't want to. Once I have some of the answers coming in, I'm going to show you the teacher dashboard of your answers that you've created. Okay, so I'm going to get the link here. And I'm going to be putting this link in the chat box, so you can give this a go for yourself. So you should be able to click on that link and it will bring you into a Peardeck presentation that you can then access on your own. And is there an app for iPads? I don't know about building on an iPad, but I have seen kids accessing it on iPad, if that makes any sense. They can get the presentation and work with it, but I haven't seen, I don't know how that would work to build it on an iPad. I've never actually tried. That's a really great question, though. Yeah, the kids, I think, should be able to access it right in on the iPad. I'm almost certain in my previous class I had 2 Learning Center students who had iPads who were using it. And I'm here to troubleshoot or answer any questions while you're kind of going through it. See if I can bring her. Yep, there we go. Denise, what do you mean by clicking in and out of the presentation there? Yes, Gina, with teacher-led mode, you control when students move on to the next slide. And I think there's actually, in the free trials as well, you can put locks and timers on things. So it will actually count down right in the corner of the slide how much time is left. I did find that stressed some of my kids out, so I didn't use it too much. But you can also lock slides so that students can't progress until you're ready to have them progress. Denise, if it's changing the view each time, what you can try is also, I think there's a full screen mode. I don't know if that will fix the problem. Or it could be because the links to the Peardeck questions are changing the format of the slide each time. I'm just going to present. Okay. For anybody who is interested in looking, I am presenting what it looks like from the teacher dashboard, at least the basic section of it. So when you are in it, you can see how many people are on each of the slides that you're looking at. On slides where you have questions, you can click them and see exactly who has said what, which is kind of great. And I'm going to go into this deeper in just a few seconds once we have a few more little questions come up here. Take like maybe another 4 or 5 minutes. Cannot add Peardeck as an add-on. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Peardeck hasn't been technically whitelisted by a lot of different places. So for some people, they can't get into it. Came up as an app through the, yeah. Yeah. For the person who said mine was already installed, funny enough, so was mine. I had signed up and then I went in to go get the add-on and I thought I already had it as well, which I found kind of interesting. But then when I played around with it on my personal Gmail account, I had to add it. Wow, I didn't know some regions have pushed it out. That's surprising to me because it is such a great tool. Oh, okay. Whew. I'm glad that some places made it available automatically. That's fantastic because I know I really appreciated it. Yeah, and I agree. I kind of wish sometimes when they push stuff out like that, that they would tell us so that I could have a better opportunity to explore it. Because once I figured out what this could actually do, my mind was blown. Okay, with time slowly kind of winding towards the end here, if you want to come back into the Meet, I'm going to show you the presentation section so that you can actually see a few of the features here. So let's just wait for just a quick second. Okay, so as I've said before, if when you go in to start your Peardeck, you will be in your presentation and you will click Start Lesson. It's going to pop up eventually. And that is where you will pick your student paste or your instructor paste. As we said before, instructor paste allows you to move through the slides with students. This is really great for in class. And then student pace allows them to do everything kind of at their own pace and asynchronously. So if I were to click on student pace, it will open up. We're going to hope this works because I have 2 sessions open. Sometimes when you have too many windows, it will not work. So you kind of have to close some of them down and make sure your Wi-Fi connection is as strong as it possibly can be. It will eventually load up here and pop up with a window that gives you your link. I don't think mine is going to do it just because it's super overloaded, right? Oh, there we go. See if that will help. Just like you to kind of see exactly what it looks like, if it will go through. Likes to give you a little attitude. If this does not, if this does not go through, I do find that refreshing it most often will fix the problem. Especially closing out some windows that maybe you don't need. If you're anything like me, I have normally like 32 tabs open at every single different time. So I can kind of overload my presentation. When it pops up, it will have a white square box. Yep, there we go. And it will allow you to copy the link, or you can share it to your classroom, and then you can also go directly to the teacher dashboard. So it will look something like that. So all of that is there. If you accidentally click out of it and you're like, oh no, I didn't copy the link, fear not. Click on that right up in the top corner and it will come back and you can copy your link. You can also tell the students, so it gives you kind of your 3 different ways. You copy the link, share it to your classroom, or tell students to join pd.com and enter that little code down there. So you can get that back nice and easy. I am going to go into the presentation that you worked on just so that you can see what it looks like when there's some answers there. So you can see your names. This is what you will see as the teacher. You can do it by list. Sometimes I do it by grid. I sometimes change it because if I do like a drawing one or a dragging option, a grid layout works better than a list layout. So you can kind of switch nice and seamlessly between the two. You can sort it alphabetically, which is really great for assessment, or by the responses, or by the time that the response came in. It's really up to you. If you love an answer, you can star it and kind of give your kids little, kind of like that gold star stickers, basically. You can also comment on your students' answers and give instant feedback. And then as well, if you wanted to hide the response, or if it was, you know, I don't know about you, but there's a few questions that I've asked in the past where like half my students have gone, I don't know, or IDK or something like that. First clue was that I needed to go over the material. Second thing was because I didn't want to mark those answers, I would just hit hide response and just kind of clear them out. So I didn't have to kind of sift through everything. So you can see the answers kind of pop up there. That is a text-based question. If you go into multiple choice, you will see who has answered what. And nobody answered the other ones. You guys are all super smart. And the best part too is at the bottom, it will tell you who didn't respond yet, who logged in but didn't leave an answer. When you come to numbers, it will sort of give you like where your answers are on a line there. And I think you could change it. Yeah. And get independent student answers, exactly who said what, by changing it over there. Did anybody draw anything for us?
So there's a question from Rachel in the chat box. How do students see your feedback?
The students will see their feedback when you go back in. Yes, they will email it to them. So like, because I don't know if everyone works this way, but where my school operates off of the GNSPES programs and Google programs, because my students are generally logging in with their GNSPES, they will also get an email when I give feedback on their answers, because it logs it in as their GNSPES account when they come into this. So that's how it recognizes immediately who's saying what. Like all your names come up immediately because it's registering your email. So when I give the feedback, it'll email it back to you, basically. It'll kind of say like, Miss Bungay has responded to your answer on Peardeck, something along those lines.
And Gina asked, do they get an individual email for each response?
Pardon?
Do they get an individual email for each response?
I didn't think so. None of my students complained about that when I was giving feedback. I think maybe it just does it all at once, like it kind of goes through the whole presentation. I don't think so. Because I feel like my students would have complained immediately if they were getting like multiple emails from one thing. But I don't think it does. I think it just kind of feeds it all into one, and then when you're kind of done with it, it will kind of archive it out. Not archive it out. Once you've finished with it all, it will kind of send everything out to the kids.
And as a follow-up question, do they need to log back into the presentation to see your comments?
They can log back into the presentation to see your comments, but it should pop up in their email exactly what you said and to what. Like it should kind of reference right in the email. So with drawing ones, again, this is going to be, you can archive it or if you hit overlay, that's when it's confusing. So I'll show you what that means. So overlay, you can see how everybody's answers like all jumbled together up on there. But then if you put it into list layout or your grid layout, it will show you exactly what everybody did, which is a lot simpler to understand. And then we did dragon one where you can drag. Oh, lots of people want to go to Australia. So there's lots of different like kind of features and tools. That's what it looks like from sort of the teacher perspective. I am going to show you really quickly because this confused me when I first tried it. After you're done and you close it out and you want to go back to it, the question becomes, where do I go? Because you can't hit start lesson again because that's going to create a whole new lesson, and it seems like you can't get back into what you were doing. But what you'll do is you'll go to peardeck.com, you'll log in, and it will give you this page here. Once you have it, you can click on your sessions, and that's going to show you where they all are. You can then go in and open the projector to show people. You can open the teacher dashboard back up. You can delete it, archive it, turn it off. You can name it, which is really, really powerful for keeping things in order. So there's kind of some options there. You can even, after you've named them, you can just search them. I've archived a lot of my classes, and as I've said, the archives go in here. You can restore them at any moment if you needed to. But yeah, everything is there for you, and you can even search within your own files for the specific one that you're looking for if you have multiple ones. Okay, so that's kind of the cool part. I'm just going to use the last few minutes here to wrap up with a few last little tidbits. So we just looked at the teacher dashboard. I do want to give you some resources. Number one question is, where did you get your slide decks or how did you make them? I cannot take credit for that. I use Slides Carnival. There's multiple resources out there, but that's the one that I use. If you want to take a look at how to do some of these things more in depth, there is a video web page for Peardeck, which I'm going to open right now. This was so amazing when I was getting started out a few months ago, trying to figure out exactly how to do all of this perfectly. Because like I said, it does take a little bit of practice. The help videos are great. They break it into 2 sections, Google and Microsoft. So it literally walks you through the entire process of how to do everything, including managing the responses, how to use your dashboard, explaining the different modes, the benefit of the library, and it goes down all the way through a whole bunch of different things. And then it does the exact same thing for Microsoft Schools as well, as how to do it from the Microsoft side of things as well. So those are some great resources if you get stuck along the way and you just want to kind of independently troubleshoot. The Chrome Web Store link for the add-on, and then of course Peardeck itself is where you can go to log in and access your sessions once you've got them kind of up and running. So I think that's great. Good timing. And basically, thank you for joining me this morning. If you've got questions, please let me know. And if down the line you need help or you want to reach out, I'm on Twitter at Miss Bungay. That handle will be changing in October after I get married. Or you can email me at my GNSPES account there. So please feel free at any time, really, in the spring, fall, winter, doesn't matter. Just reach out. I'm more than happy to help you.